What could be worse than betrayal? Perhaps it's when you're pregnant, fragile, in desperate need of protection, and the man who once swore to stand by your side suddenly turns his back. Laura Bennett, 30 years old, a gentle art teacher in Seattle, is 7 months pregnant. She once believed her happiness was complete: a warm home, a child soon to be born, and a devoted husband. But just as she prepared for the best days of her life, the storm came from where she least expected. Ryan Bennett, 33, Laura's husband, still appeared to be the successful man everyone admired, but behind closed doors, he was hiding a cruel secret. The other woman was Chloe Adams, 28, an ambitious and alluring colleague. To Chloe, Laura's simple happiness was something to envy, and something she was determined to steal at any cost. And when Laura noticed the warning signs, the midnight texts, the nights Ryan came home late claiming overtime, the sudden bursts of anger, the times he left her to attend prenatal appointments alone, she realized her fragile happiness was starting to crack. Her dignity, her trust, and even the future of her unborn child, all were at risk of collapsing. This was the beginning of one of the most powerful revenge stories you'll ever hear. And remember, this was only the beginning. Laura Bennett was a gentle woman, simple in the way she lived, yet deep inside she carried a rare strength. At 30, she worked as an art teacher in a small high school in Seattle. Her job didn't bring wealth, but it gave her joy: the laughter of children, colorful drawings, and the pure faces of her students. For Laura, happiness was never about lavish parties. It was about a peaceful home filled with love and the sound of a child's laughter. In their upscale apartment in downtown Seattle, Laura kept her own little rituals. Each morning, she brewed herself a cup of chamomile tea, placing it gently by the window as she watched the busy streets below. On the dining table, there was always a vase of fresh flowers she picked from the local market. And on the beige sofa, she had already prepared a corner for the baby soon to arrive: tiny clothes neatly folded, a teddy bear, and a pregnancy journal she wrote in every single day. She often whispered to the life inside her, "I promise to give you a warm, happy home. You'll have a loving father and a mother who'll always be by your side." Every time she smiled through her words, believing with all her heart they would come true. Ryan Bennett, her husband, was 33. A marketing manager, charming and successful, the kind of man both family and friends admired. When they got married, Ryan had chosen to put Laura's name next to his on their apartment deed, as well as on a large savings account. Many in his family didn't understand why, but Ryan had said something that made Laura cry tears of joy. "We are one, Laura. There is no yours or mine. Everything is ours." Laura held him tight that night, feeling like the luckiest woman alive. That decision, joint ownership, joint name, would later become a double-edged sword. A symbol of love, but also a target for someone else's greed. On the surface, Laura's relationships with friends and family seemed stable. But since she got pregnant, Ryan had begun to change. He spent less time talking to her. He snapped more often, sometimes without reason. And he always had excuses about work. There were moments that cut deeper. When Laura asked him to join her for prenatal checkups, he would wave it off. "I've got client meetings. You can go with your mom or Megan." Laura forced a smile. "It's fine, I understand. Your work is important." But every time she sat alone in the waiting room, watching other couples hold hands, her eyes blurred with tears. She tried to convince herself it was just work stress. Yet the signs kept piling up: late-night messages, the glow of Ryan's phone lighting up his face as he smirked in secret. And then, one evening, Laura saw a preview on his lock screen. "I miss you. Can't wait to see you." Her heart dropped. Before she could ask, Ryan snatched the phone and barked, "Stop being paranoid. That's just a client. They message after hours, that's all." Laura went quiet, but unease clawed at her chest, a feeling she couldn't shake away. In her small private room, where she kept her pure white wedding gown and her pregnancy journal, Laura often went to find comfort. The gown, to her, was not just fabric. It was proof of love. Every time she looked at it, she reminded herself, "I chose the right man." But one evening in early June 2025, as she opened the glass case to admire the gown before their upcoming anniversary, a chill ran down her spine. The gown was gone. Laura froze, her hands trembled. A dreadful instinct surged inside her. This wasn't just about a missing dress. It was a warning, a signal that something far worse was on its way. That night, Laura couldn't sleep. The image of her missing wedding dress haunted her. The gown was sacred, a symbol of her love. She had never let anyone touch it. Who could have taken it, and why? The next morning, before she could even steady her thoughts, a strange message appeared in the extended family group chat. It spread like wildfire. Evidence insert number 1. Group chat message sender, unknown number, later revealed to be Chloe's. Message: I heard Laura's having money troubles, so she sold her wedding dress and a few keepsakes. Such a shame, that dress used to be so beautiful. A relative replied, really, I thought Ryan was a manager. Pretty well off, right? The sender continued, well, that's just appearances. Who knows, maybe Laura isn't good at handling money. Don't tell anyone though, it's just what I heard. That rumor was screenshot, forwarded, and within hours, it reached half of Ryan's family. That evening, during dinner, Laura heard the whispers around the table. I heard Laura's terrible with money. So disappointing, selling her own wedding dress. Laura's chest tightened. She turned to Ryan, begging for him to defend her. But he sat silent, his face heavy with thought. Her heart broke. That night, Laura finally confronted him. Her voice shook. You believe me, don't you? I would never sell it. That gown means everything to me. Ryan paused for what felt like an eternity, then sighed. I want to believe you, Laura. But Chloe is a close colleague. She wouldn't lie. And the dress, it's clearly gone from the closet. The words stabbed through her chest like a knife. The same man who once promised we are one now wavered because of gossip. Laura burst into tears, clutching her pregnant belly. Shame, anger, pain. It all tangled into something that left her breathless. But the nightmare wasn't over. As she sat numb by the window, her phone buzzed again. Another message, this time sent directly to her. He doesn't love you anymore. Stop holding on. Let him be happy with someone who deserves him. Laura read it again and again. Her pulse raced. Cold sweat broke across her forehead. She knew. This wasn't some harmless rumor. Someone, and she had no doubt it was Chloe, was deliberately trying to smear her name, to shatter her marriage, to erase her happiness. Laura looked at Ryan, but he only sighed, refusing to meet her eyes. The invisible distance between them had become a wall. In her despair, one thought pierced through the fog. The missing dress was only the opening act. The texts, the whispers, the betrayal. It was all part of something much darker. And Laura knew this was only the beginning. The whispers, the rumors, the lies, all of it had just begun. But worse was coming. The missing wedding dress and the poisonous texts were just the opening shot. But the real storm began when Laura discovered how quickly the world around her could be twisted against her. That weekend, she and Ryan went to his mother's house for dinner. The moment she walked through the door, she felt it, an atmosphere colder than usual. Glances that lingered too long, whispers that fell silent as soon as she appeared. At the table, Ryan's aunt leaned forward, voice sharp with suggestion. I heard Laura isn't very good with money, is that true? Another relative chimed in. Yes, Chloe said she saw receipts from luxury boutiques. Spending like that must be hard on Ryan. Laura froze. Her hand trembled, her chopsticks nearly slipped from her grip. She looked at Ryan, waiting, praying he would defend her. But he stayed silent, eyes downcast, lips pressed tight. Her heart sank. Forcing herself to breathe, she whispered, voice breaking yet firm. I never sold my wedding dress. I'm not wasteful. Please don't believe these lies. Silence answered her. Suspicious eyes bore into her skin. The dinner dragged on, heavy and cold, leaving Laura feeling like a stranger in her own family. Days later, Ryan came home holding a stack of papers. Without a word, he threw them on the table. His voice was sharp, accusing. Explain this. Laura glanced down and her heart stopped. It was a bank statement filled with charges she had never made. June 12, cash withdrawal $3,200. June 14, payment at luxury boutique $1,850. June 15, cash withdrawal $6,500. Total $11,550. Her voice cracked, shaking. No, this isn't me. I never took this money. I've never bought designer brands. Someone set this up. Ryan's eyes narrowed, his doubt clear. I want to believe you, Laura. But this is black and white. How do you expect me to trust you without proof? Tears spilled as she grabbed his hand desperately. Someone's doing this. I think it's Chloe. She has every reason. He ripped his hand away, his voice hard. Chloe is my colleague. Don't slander her. The space between them widened into a canyon. Laura felt the walls close in. Her husband doubted her. His family believed the lies. She was utterly alone. One afternoon, the doorbell rang. Laura opened it, and there stood Chloe, smiling sweetly, a fruit basket in her hands. Her voice was honeyed but laced with poison. "Laura, I heard about everything. I'm so sorry for you. Do you need to borrow some money to get by?" Laura stiffened, stepping back. "Why would you think I need money? Who told you that?" Chloe's smile deepened, her eyes gleaming with mockery. "No one. I just worry about you. But sometimes, pride doesn't help. We're friends, aren't we?" Laura was speechless. She knew Chloe was the one spreading the lies, yet to everyone else, she looked like the kind-hearted friend offering comfort. Isolation crept in like a shadow. Mutual friends kept their distance. Even colleagues at school looked at her with pity. "Laura, is everything all right? People are talking," they whispered. Each word sliced deeper. Every look cut her open. She wasn't just losing Ryan's trust. She was losing her dignity in the eyes of everyone around her. In the following days, Laura spent hours in her small private room, staring at the empty space where her wedding gown once hung. Tears fell onto the pages of her pregnancy journal as she wrote to her unborn child. "I'm sorry, I couldn't protect our trust, but I promise I won't let anyone steal your future." Despair weighed heavy, but beneath it, a small flame of defiance began to burn. Meanwhile, Chloe thrived in the chaos she created. She was confident, triumphant. One night, in a hushed phone call to a friend, her words dripped with venomous glee. "Laura's about to break. One more push and Ryan will believe she's greedy, fake, and when that happens, he'll be mine." Laura never heard those words, but the audience knew. The villain was about to overreach, preparing a strike so bold it could destroy everything. After the rumors, after the fake evidence, Laura thought things couldn't possibly get worse. But the truth was far more cruel. Chloe didn't just want to smear her name. She was building an entire scheme to steal Ryan and the couple's shared assets. One mid-June evening, Laura stayed late at school, organizing an art exhibition for her students. When she came home, Ryan wasn't there. She called, and he answered coldly, saying he was meeting an important client. But the reality was different. Ryan was sitting in a quiet cafe across from Chloe. She leaned closer, her voice a mixture of pity and poison. "Ryan, I don't want to interfere in your marriage, but I worry for you. Laura, she's changed so much. I just don't want to see you being used." Ryan frowned. "Laura is my wife. She's just more sensitive now because of the pregnancy. You're overthinking this." Chloe slid a folder across the table. Her words were sweet, but every one of them cut like a blade. "Are you sure? I thought you should see this." From legalconsult@denverlaw.com to laura.bennett@email.com. Subject: preliminary advice regarding division of assets in divorce. Body: we confirm we have received your request regarding the division of marital assets should the marriage dissolve. Please note, under Washington law, jointly owned property is subject to equal division. Ryan went pale. His hand clenched around his coffee cup, eyes fixed on the words. Chloe reached out, lightly touching his wrist, her voice a whisper. "I don't want to hurt you. But you see it, don't you? Laura doesn't love you. She only wants the money. You deserve someone who truly values you." And now her eyes revealed the truth, raw ambition, no more disguise. When Ryan came home later that night, Laura immediately sensed something had changed. He spoke less, his gaze heavy, as if hiding something behind it. One evening, Laura gathered all her courage and asked directly, "Ryan, do you still believe in me?" His eyes locked on hers, voice low, tense. "Tell me the truth, Laura. Did you contact a lawyer? Did you think about splitting the assets if we divorced?" Her breath caught in her throat. Tears poured down as she cried. "You think I would do that? After everything I've given up for this marriage? I never, Ryan, never." He didn't answer. He just grabbed his coat and walked out, slamming the door so hard it felt like the last shred of hope collapsed with it. Laura sat frozen, her arms wrapped around her pregnant belly, feeling as though the world itself was crumbling. The next day, during a family gathering, Chloe arrived with calculated confidence. She draped an arm over Laura's shoulder, smiling sweetly while her words dripped with malice. "I just hope Laura gets through this difficult time. After all, wedding dresses, money, these things can be sensitive, but family should always come first, right?" The room fell silent. then filled with sighs. Sympathetic glances toward Ryan. Doubtful, pitying eyes cast on Laura. She wanted to scream, to expose Chloe right there. But she knew, without solid proof, she would look desperate, bitter, and no one would believe her. She bit her lip so hard it bled, tasting iron as the humiliation burned through her chest. In that moment, Laura felt utterly defeated. Chloe had won, but fate, cruel as it was, left a crack in the door. One afternoon, as Laura walked past the garden behind a restaurant where a family event was held, she heard Chloe's voice on the phone. Quiet, but each word was crystal clear. Yes, the plan is working. Laura's losing all her credibility. Once Ryan believes she's greedy, we can push her out easily. When the divorce happens, that joint property won't be hers anymore. Laura's heart pounded like thunder. Her hands shook, not with fear this time, but with rage. Finally, Chloe's mask had fallen. She didn't just want Ryan. She wanted everything: the life, the home, the money. That night, Laura sat alone in her small private room. The glass cabinet stood empty where her wedding dress once hung. Her pregnancy journal lay open on the table, its pages stained with tears. She remembered Ryan's words the day they signed the deed. "We are one. There is no yours or mine. Everything is ours." And suddenly, it clicked. The joint assets, the very weapon Chloe thought she could use to destroy her, would become the blade Laura could wield in return. Pain gave way to determination. Her tear-reddened eyes glowed with a new fire, a stubborn resolve. She whispered, almost like an oath, "All right, Chloe. If you want to destroy me, then you have no idea who you're up against." And in that moment, the idea of revenge took root in Laura's mind. The real battle had only just begun. After overhearing Chloe's call and finally seeing her true intentions exposed, Laura knew she could no longer sit back. Tears and weakness wouldn't save anything. If she wanted her dignity and happiness back, she had to fight, and not with emotion alone, but with reason, with a plan. The first person she turned to was her younger sister, Megan Carter, a sharp and fearless freelance journalist. Listening to everything, Megan clenched her jaw. "I've suspected Chloe for a long time. Laura, what we need is proof, undeniable proof. Rumors can destroy you, but only the truth can destroy her." Together, they began to collect data. Megan installed a recording app on her phone, ready to capture every suspicious word. She also contacted a friend at the bank to verify the statement Ryan had thrown in Laura's face. Soon the truth surfaced. The transactions had come from a shadow account under a fake name, and all signs pointed back to Chloe. But Laura knew it wasn't enough. Chloe was skilled at twisting stories. She would call it fake in seconds. Laura needed a full chain of evidence, a complete picture that no one could deny. She also knew she couldn't stand alone against family doubts and Ryan's silence. She needed allies, at least a few who believed her. The next person she sought was Olivia Chen, her longtime friend and a lawyer. When Olivia heard about the fake lawyer email, her eyes narrowed. "If Chloe forged a legal email, we can prove it. Every firm has an authentication system. One check, and we'll expose it as trash." Laura's eyes lit up with hope. "Olivia, I need you beside me on the day it all comes out, not just to defend me, but so everyone hears the truth from someone who understands the law." Olivia nodded firmly. "I'll be there, and I promise you won't fight this alone." Now Laura had two key allies, Megan with her journalistic instincts and Olivia with her legal expertise. Together, they became her anchor. Laura knew the battle needed a stage, a public one, a place Chloe would feel confident enough to play her hand. The perfect opportunity appeared. The baby shower, a major gathering with family, friends, even Ryan's colleagues. "That's it," Laura whispered. "That's where everything ends." The plan was crafted like a high-stakes gamble. Chloe would almost certainly arrive with her own evidence to disgrace Laura. Laura would stay quiet, act defeated, then strike back step by step, unveiling the real proof Megan and Olivia had prepared. The final goal: destroy Chloe in front of everyone, so thoroughly she couldn't escape with excuses. But Laura wasn't blind to the risks. If Chloe sensed the trap, she might be more careful and not expose herself. If Ryan continued siding with Chloe, Laura's truth could be painted as desperate slander. If the evidence wasn't strong enough, Chloe would win sympathy, and Laura would lose everything. The stakes were crushing. Laura pressed her lips together, her breaths heavy. She wasn't just fighting for her name, She was fighting for the future of the child she carried. Still, Laura had one hidden weapon, something Chloe didn't even know existed. The secret ace. A recording of Chloe calling a real law office, asking how Ryan could secure all assets in a divorce. Laura had never shown it, not even to Megan or Olivia. She kept it as her final dagger, the last blade to strike when Chloe believed she had already won. Whispering to herself, Laura vowed, "You want the joint assets? I'll make you admit it in front of everyone." With the secret ace, she was certain Chloe would be cornered, but she hid it carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. Everything seemed ready. Megan prepared discreet recording gear and a small hidden camera. Olivia finalized legal documents proving the email and bank statements were fraudulent. Laura told herself again and again, "Just wait for the party, it will all be over." But then disaster struck. Megan burst into the living room one afternoon, breathless, panic in her voice. "Laura, Chloe just posted on social media. She's claiming Ryan confided in her, that he wants to divorce you. It's spreading fast. People in the family have already seen it." Laura froze. Her body trembled. Her heart pounded like a drum. If they believed Chloe's post, her carefully built plan could collapse before it even began. Chloe had overreached, throwing a public blow right before the showdown. Laura clenched her fists, her breath ragged. The game was no longer just a plan. It had turned into a war. She knew now what was coming would be far more brutal than she had ever imagined. Saturday night, the grand hall of a luxury hotel in downtown Seattle glittered with golden lights. It should have been a joyful baby shower, a celebration of new life, but for Laura it was a battlefield. The place where she would reclaim her dignity and the truth. Guests filled the room. Family from both sides, close friends, Ryan's colleagues. And then Chloe entered. She wore a blazing red dress, her smile sharp and predatory, instantly drawing every eye. With a glass of wine in hand, she moved from group to group, whispering just loud enough to sting. Poor Laura, she had to sell her wedding dress because of money troubles. And then another, colder. "Ryan's exhausted these days. He confides in me a lot." Each hushed remark was a spark, spreading like wildfire through the hall. Faces began to turn toward Laura, eyes tinged with pity, suspicion, disdain. Laura sat quietly, both hands resting protectively on her pregnant belly, her gaze unwavering. She knew her moment was coming. When the party reached its peak, she rose to her feet. Her voice cut through the room, calm but commanding. "Tonight isn't just about celebrating Miss Baby. It's about exposing the truth. Chloe, you've spread enough lies." Dozens of eyes locked on the two women. Chloe smirked. "Laura, you're delusional. If you think I've made things up, prove it. Show them something real." Laura nodded, once at Megan. Megan connected her phone to the speaker. A recording blasted across the hall, Chloe's unmistakable voice laced with cruel laughter. "That wedding dress? I hid it. Then I spread the rumor she sold it for money. The family will believe it, and Ryan, he'll never stand by her again." Gasps filled the room. Shocked murmurs rippled through the guests. Unbelievable. So Chloe was the one. Ryan's eyes widened, his face frozen in disbelief. Laura thought this would be the decisive blow, but Chloe suddenly laughed loudly, clapping 3 times, her voice cutting through the tension. "Well done, Laura. You managed to fake an audio file. But tell me, everyone, would you trust a cheap, easily edited recording, or me, Ryan's trusted colleague for years?" The crowd stirred, doubt creeping back in. Some nodded, swayed by Chloe's confidence. The tide of suspicion turned again. Ryan stood, his voice trembling. "Laura, are you sure this isn't fake? Could this have been doctored?" The question was a knife twisting into Laura's heart, her carefully laid plan suddenly dangling by a thread. Chloe stepped closer, leaned in, whispering just for Laura. "You think you've won? They'll never believe you. They'll always believe me." Laura bit her lip hard, tasting blood, but her eyes blazed with resolve. This was it, the moment to strike. She raised her chin and told Megan, "Play the second one, now." Megan hesitated. It was the clip they had meant to save for the end, but Laura's firm nod left no room for doubt. She pressed play. Again, Chloe's voice filled the hall, dripping with arrogance. "If Ryan believes Laura is greedy, the joint assets will crumble. That's when I move in. She's not smart enough to see it, but I am." The silence that followed was suffocating. Chloe's face drained of color, her lips quivering. Then, suddenly, a guest stood, trembling but resolute. I heard her say this myself last week. I stayed quiet, but no more. It's true. Chloe said those exact words. The room erupted. Whispered doubts became open condemnation. How could she? We accused Laura wrongly. Unbelievable betrayal. Ryan's gaze burned with regret, shame flooding his face. He stepped toward Laura, reaching for her hand. But she drew back half a step, her eyes steel. She knew it wasn't over yet. Then Olivia stepped forward, her presence commanding. She raised a folder, her lawyer's voice strong and unshakable. I have verified the email address Chloe presented as proof. It does not belong to any law office. It's a fraudulent domain created solely for deception. Gasps and angry mutters swept the room. Chloe's back was against the wall, yet even cornered she fought. Her eyes flashed with desperation, her voice rising to a shrill pitch. Fine, Laura, you think you've won? I still have one last move. When I play it, everything will collapse. The hall went deathly quiet. Every breath hung heavy. All eyes waited. Laura stood tall, one hand on her belly, her eyes fierce, unwavering but tight with tension. She knew Chloe still had one last move, a final blow that could change everything. The grand hall blazed with light, but the tension was suffocating. Everyone could hear their own heartbeat. Chloe stood in the center, her smile sharp and triumphant after her chilling declaration. I still have one last move. When I play it, everything will collapse. Slowly, she reached into her bag and pulled out a stack of papers, raising them high like her ultimate trump card. Her voice rang out, icy and cutting. This is an email from a law office confirming Laura asked about dividing assets if she divorced Ryan. She never loved him. She only loves money. Gasps spread across the room. Ryan's face turned pale, guests sighed, a few shook their heads in pity. The weight of the room shifted toward Chloe, as if the verdict had already been sealed. But Laura didn't flinch. Her eyes gleamed. She knew this was the moment for the final blow. She drew a deep breath and stepped forward, her voice steady, unwavering. Fine, Chloe. If you want to play your last card, then I'll play mine. Let's show everyone the full picture you've been hiding. She signaled to Megan. On the big screen, piece by piece, the puzzle of truth came alive. First, the group chat messages, Chloe planting the lie that Laura sold her wedding dress for money. Murmurs rose, a few guests nodded grimly. Next, the fake bank statements. Olivia confirmed the suspicious withdrawals came from a dummy account Chloe herself had created. Gasps filled the air, Chloe's face began to falter. Then, the fabricated email. Olivia stepped forward, her lawyer's voice sharp. This domain, legalconsult@denverlaw.com, is a fraud. No law office owns it, it's a scam Chloe made up. Outrage rippled through the crowd. And finally, the damning audio recording. Chloe's voice filled the hall. I hid the wedding dress. Then I spread the rumor she sold it. The family will believe it, and Ryan, he'll never stand by her again. The hall exploded. Some shook their heads, others turned away in disgust. Chloe's mask was cracking. Laura's voice rang out, fierce and proud. And now, here is the truth that will end your game forever. Megan pressed play on the last recording. The hall fell silent. Chloe's cold, unmistakable voice. Are you sure? If Ryan divorces her, the joint assets will be split. I want to know if there's a way he can get it all. I need to make sure Laura leaves with nothing. A man in a dark suit suddenly stood. His voice thundered across the hall. I am the attorney who received this call last week. And yes, it was Chloe Adams who asked me that exact question. I recorded it because it felt suspicious. Today, I confirm it. This is the truth. The hall erupted, this time in fury. Shock turned to rage. She really tried to steal their assets? A homewrecker, a liar, a traitor to her own friend. Laura was right all along. Chloe's face drained of all color. Her eyes went wide, her lips trembling, but no words came out. Ryan stormed forward, his voice shaking with fury. I trusted you, as a colleague, as a friend. Over 10 years of loyalty, and this is what you repay me with? Destroying my marriage, spreading lies, forging documents. You are nothing but a traitor. He turned to Laura, tears in his eyes. Laura, I'm sorry. I doubted you. But now I see, you were the only one who ever told the truth. Laura didn't cry. She stood tall, her eyes blazing with pride. She had won. Not by begging, but by proving. Guests shouted over each other. Shame on you, Chloe. You don't belong here. Leave this place now. From mastermind to outcast, Chloe was suddenly stripped bare. No longer feared, only despised. She screamed in desperation, her voice breaking. No, No, it's not like that, I didn't. But no one listened. Ryan's voice cut through the chaos. From this moment, Chloe Adams, every tie between us is over. I don't want to see your face again. Family and friends turned their backs in unison. Chloe stumbled, tears streaking her face as the crowd's scorn crushed her. The room buzzed, not with celebration but with outrage, relief, and disgust at the fallen villain. Chloe staggered out of the hall, every stare stabbing her like knives. Laura held Ryan's hand briefly, then released it. Not out of anger, but because trust would take time to rebuild. Her eyes, however, shone with pride. Justice had been served. No one spoke of the wedding dress anymore. No one mentioned money or lies or doubt. Only one truth remained. Laura had been betrayed, but she rose, fought, and triumphed. And as she stepped out of the hall, her words echoed like a final seal on the story. Justice doesn't always need a courtroom. Sometimes it comes from truth and the courage to face it. After that fateful night at the hotel, Chloe Adams's life veered into ruin. Once a familiar face at elegant parties, her name was now spoken only with scorn. Friends cut ties, colleagues kept their distance. Even her family refused to listen to her excuses. The lies she spread, the forgeries she created, all of it came back to crush her. From an ambitious woman, Chloe became nothing more than an outcast trapped in whispers and stares of contempt. For Laura, after all the storms, a new chapter began, quiet but stronger than ever. Happiness was no longer defined by a wedding dress or sweet promises. For her, it was trust reclaimed, love that endured through trials. Each morning, as she brewed her familiar cup of chamomile tea, she looked at Ryan, her husband, now changed, now listening, now truly cherishing her. And she saw it clearly. She had not only reclaimed her dignity but also secured peace for her child. Ryan, once doubtful, once silent when she needed him most, finally became the man he promised to be. He realized how close he came to losing everything through his hesitation and mistrust. Now he stood as a true partner, not out of duty, but out of love. Justice had been served. Chloe lost everything to her greed, while Laura moved forward, proud, calm, and stronger than she had ever been. True friends, or true love, will always lift you up. Never try to destroy your happiness. Greed and betrayal only lead to loneliness. If today's story touched your heart, make sure to hit subscribe to True Revenge Stories for more powerful and emotional revenge stories every single day. Now tell us, if you were in Laura's place, would you choose forgiveness or revenge? Share your thoughts in the comments. We truly want to hear from you.